What's up, Shinigami? Shinigami here with a new video. I know it's been a while. I've actually had a lot of stuff going on this year. As a matter of fact, before I get into this video, just want to show you guys I got another promotion in karate. I'm now officially a second degree black belt in the art of Kempo Shotokan 360. And yeah, big news number one. What I'm going to talk about today is something that recently just kind of became an issue, but so I've always worn a cup. Even when doing jiu-jitsu, I've done it, the entire time I've done jiu-jitsu. And it recently became a rule at my jiu-jitsu school that, we're not allowed to wear cups in the gym, which kind of sparked a little debate between me and my professor. A couple of the other students, and it's just something I want to address here because it's every response to why is that a rule now? Aside from the obvious, the IBJJF doesn't allow it, which is also ridiculous. Came down to the same set of myths, and there's a lot of myths in martial arts, and I've addressed a couple of them along with other people, like things like the belts, the whole myth about belts. I feel like this is a bigger myth and a more dangerous myth than the, never wash your belt because the white belt, is eventually going to turn black, and that's where the whole rank system came from. And I decided to go look around online, and I found a couple of interesting things, including one article, which I just saw the little blurb in the search results talking about how everyone should wear a cup in wrestling and jiu-jitsu and everything, and the person who wrote the article won't even train with someone unless they're wearing one, which is, legit. But I'm going to address this here because there's an article here that I found that kind of goes into pros and cons. It's fightersvault.com, and the article is, should you wear a groin guard for BJJ? Now, I firmly believe, yes, you absolutely should. And it makes some good points. So I'll start with the benefits of wearing a groin guard in BJJ. And I agree with most of these, if not all of them. It's been a couple of days since I read it, and I had meant to get to this, making this video a while ago. But this will also lead into another video I'm going to make that's actually a product review. Like any combat sport, accidents can happen. There are 3 specific benefits to wearing a groin guard in BJJ. Protects against knee slide passes. Knee slide passes are one of the most effective passes in jiu-jitsu. Unfortunately, you can on occasion catch a knee to the groin from your training partner. I've gotten knees to the groin. I've gotten more heel kicks to the groin in jiu-jitsu, especially from squirrely white belts trying to get out of not heel hooks, but ankle locks, straight ankle locks, than I have in karate. And I do American Kempo where we hit each other in the groin all the time. And I've still gotten hit in the groin more doing jiu-jitsu. I've had people do that stupid peanut butter guard shit on occasions where I went places that told me to take the cup off when I go to like open mats and stuff. Things like that. Inadvertent elbows. You can catch an inadvertent elbow to the groin in a few different situations during BJJ training. That's happened too, but not as much as there's just so much shin to groin and knee to groin that happens in jiu-jitsu, and it's ridiculous. And same with the heel thing. And then, accidents happen. Unfortunately, taking an accidental shot to the groin can happen in Brazilian jiu-jitsu training. Getting an accidental shot to the groin during a scramble is just... honestly, I've seen more people have groin injuries in jiu-jitsu than anywhere else. Even in it's crazy. And here's where we start getting into the ridiculous myths. Disadvantages of wearing a groin guard. And a lot of these have come up. The number 2 reason is the big one for me that made me have to make this video, or made me feel the need to make this video. Nothing makes me have to do anything. On the other side of the argument, here's other reasons why you should not wear a groin guard in BJJ. There are 3 reasons why you shouldn't wear a groin guard during jiu-jitsu training. Number 1, it hinders movement. By wearing a groin guard, you're substantially hindering your movement. You only have half of your hip and leg movement when you're wearing one. Now that's cap, and the same reason that number 2 is cap. It's an absolute myth. Is the same reason I can attest to this being a myth. We have 30 years of MMA fights. 30 years of MMA. And grappling is probably the biggest component of mixed martial arts. And even from practicing it myself, like I said, I've used Krupp and Jiu-Jitsu for almost the whole almost 11 years I've done it. And it's never hindered my movement. It's never restricted my leg movement. It's never slipped or caused me any issues. And like to my own person. And yeah, there's no cutting your movement in half. I've actually had more of an issue in the time I tried to obey the rule in my gym here and not wear one than I ever had wearing one. You know what'll hinder your movement real quick? That knee to the nuts, that shin to the nuts, that heel to the nuts when they're trying to push off to get away from a heel hook. Like where they shouldn't even be sticking their foot in your groin for that in the first place. That's what's going to hinder your movement. Number 2, and this is the myth I really want to address here, is advantage on arm bars. When you're wearing a groin guard and have an arm bar locked in, this puts your opponent at a disadvantage. This is because the groin guard acts as a fulcrum point when you're pulling back for the arm lock. It gives you extra leverage on your arm bar and comes on quicker, which can injure your partner. That's the biggest load of shit I have ever heard from anyone, anywhere in my entire life. And again, 30 years of MMA. I compete in MMA myself, and anybody, and this is why it's wild to me that this is even an argument or a myth in jiu-jitsu about wearing a cup. You do not armbar on your cup, and even if you did, it's literally not any different than putting it across your hip, which is where you're supposed to put the elbow for the fulcrum. It's not extra leverage. I've never sank an armbar faster wearing a cup. Nobody in MMA in 30 years has ever sunk an armbar faster because they wear a cup. Nobody ever. Ever. In the history of ever. So all this like, there is zero examples. Zero. You can find a lot of examples of groin injuries from grappling, but you can find zero documented cases of someone getting armbarred worse because of a cup. To the contrary, we have 30 years, thousands of MMA fights. Pride, UFC, Bellator, Strikeforce, hundreds of smaller organizations, not a single in professional or amateur ever has there been an armbar faster because someone is wearing a cup and got the guy's elbow over the cup. Ever. So this needs to stop. It's absolutely ridiculous that the IBJJF or any of these, like, it should absolutely be allowed to protect your own personal body parts, especially something as fragile as the groin, especially for men. That's our reproductive organs. We have external reproductive organs, and we should be able to protect those, and it shouldn't be an issue anywhere in any sport. If we're doing anything that has any sort of contact to any part of the body, especially the groin, whether it's striking or grappling, because grappling actually, I don't know about any of you guys, but I've gotten more bruises from grappling just because it's constant pressure in specific spots of your body for extended periods of time than I ever got getting punched or kicked, elbowed, kneed, any of that. You guys have seen me do street beefs. You've seen me after street beefs, and I almost never have bruises, fucking shiners, none of that shit when I do that. But I promise you, if you saw me without my shirt on after a couple of hard rolls in jiu-jitsu, you'd see bruises and shit everywhere because it's just knees on belly and me trying to pass people's guards and just pressure everywhere. Even when you're offending or pulling offense on your training partners, you're going to have bone on skin pressure all over the place. It's just how it is. So the IBJJF, use of footgear, headgear, hairpins, jewelry, cups, or any protector fashioned of hard material may cause harm to an opponent or the athlete is written again. Hard cups have never injured anybody in MMA. They do not injure anyone in grappling. The third myth, too, I forgot this was damage your opponent's face and mouth. Again, all three of these can be utterly dismissed and debunked by the 30 years of MMA footage we have. Nobody's had their face injured because they got put in a triangle by someone with a cup. Nobody has had their face or mouth injured because somebody got full mount and tried to triangle from the mount, or just kind of north-south hook their fucking legs around somebody's head, whatever. None of that from someone wearing a cup. It's absolutely ludicrous. Now we're gonna get into some of the other stuff. Compression shorts, has been advice I've gotten. Regular compression shorts on their own are not going to protect your groin from any kind of impact or pressure. It's absolutely ridiculous. Matter of fact, just on their own, that can make it worse because they kind of keep your junk, isolated to one area, compressed, if you will. There's actually an entire article here on BJJDivision.com about the best cup of 2023. The number one groin protector that they recommend is the Black Diamond MMA short with a built-in jock system. And Black Diamond cups are steel cups. Their second one is BioShock or Shock Doctor cord supporter with BioFlex cup, which is what I generally wear for jiu-jitsu when I was wearing one. And I also have a steel Shock Doctor cup for when I do MMA. The BioFlex one's great because it moves around. So if you are allowed to wear a cup at your jiu-jitsu school, I recommend getting one of those. And that's going to be something I talk about in my product review. In order to kind of mitigate this, I've gotten these compression shorts that have padding. They're marketed as tournament legal jiu-jitsu groin protection. It's called Jog-Jitsu. It's basically compression shorts with like a layer of sort of padding in the groin area. And it cost me $65 all in with shipping and everything. It's like $59.99 for the shorts, and then $60. Or not $60, but like another like $5, $6 for the shipping. So it was $65 all in. And again, I'll be doing a product review, but I feel like it's way more accessible and just a way better value in general to go to Walmart or Big Five or Dick's and buy a Shock Doctor for $10-$20 with the jock strap, or a little bit more if you want the full compression shorts with the jock system, than what I paid for the Jog-Jitsu. But you'll find out why when I do that review. I'm trying to find some stuff for my tripod so I can film some of my rolls. So I can show you, some actual in-class footage. I've got some older footage of me rolling with the cups. So you can kind of see my movement before and after and everything. The number one recommended by BJJDivision.com is the Diamond MMA system, or MMA short with a built-in jock system. And again, that's a, steel cup. Pros: complete protection and comfort, zero shifting guaranteed, patented 4-strap design that keeps the cup flush to the body, 6-way moisture-wicking stretch fabric, high-tech polymer cup deflects impact. Now, Black Diamond is actually metal. I don't know why it says polymer. High-quality, machine washable, including the cup. Higher price, you get what you pay for. Those are way more expensive. Black Diamond is very expensive, like $100, $120. I think it's like $90 just for the cup itself. Number 2, the Shock Doctor, blah, blah, blah. Cup narrow. I don't find it that narrow. You got to get the right size, though, Sometimes they do kind of have a weird habit of shrinking and like kind of curling up on themselves if you don't use them a lot. You let them sit around enough. And then the Venom cup Now, I got one of those once, and the jock strap wore out really fast. Like, the elastic did not hold up. About it. BJJ cups to avoid. Core compression short with cup pocket from Shock Doctor. That's kind of wild. I have to wonder if they're sponsored by Black Diamonds. They recommend that one so thoroughly there. I'm going to go back and put in my other... So here's another article where someone's talking about pros and cons, so let's see what they say. Personally, my long and short here is, again, we've got 30 years of MMA footage that proves that wearing a cup is not going to put your training partners or your opponents in danger during any form of grappling competition. This individual's conclusion here is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athletes should not use an athletic cup during training. Cups are not allowed during most BJJ competitions and pose an increased risk of injury as well as discomfort to yourself and your training partners. Again, these are myths. I don't understand where these myths even came from. Like, are cups uncomfortable when you first start wearing them? Of course they are. You're not used to it. Once you're used to it, though, you feel uncomfortable with that one, I'll tell you that. Let's go into some specifics on what I found in regards to using a groin guard during jiu-jitsu training that helped me make my own decision to forego the use of a cup in my own training. Athletic cups pose a risk to your training partners. Again, we've kind of... It's always this hard fulcrum in the affected area that makes more leverage for arm bars and other joint locks like knee bars. But again, 30 years, thousands of fights, thousands of days of my own personal training. And not once ever in my own personal training, which I didn't even really want to bring that up, but I mean, because anecdotal evidence is usually not really evidence in debate, but, you know, this is my platform, and I'm going to kind of make an exception here because it falls in line with, again, the 30 years of actual professional, amateur, and even, like, sport tournament MMA competitions and footage and everything. There's never once been an injury from someone trying to armbar somebody while wearing a cup. Ever. So I don't know where this myth came from, but there's zero documentation. It's the same thing as with my karate dojo and having heard the white belt getting dirty to become a black belt is where the ranking system started. Myth. Somebody hears something from somebody in a place of authority somewhere else, and it just trickles down the line and becomes this traditionalized idea that somebody never questioned because at some point you weren't supposed to question your instructors or ever look into anything if you felt like you should be questioning your instructor. And now we're here where people aren't allowed to wear groin protectors in jiu-jitsu tournaments, and it's filtering down into the gyms, even though I never started training to do jiu-jitsu tournaments anyway. I mean, as you can see, I've got plenty of medals, and most of those medals are from jiu-jitsu and like sport MMA divisions. And I always wore a cup for those. The only one I didn't was the IBJJF because, you know, those fuckers check your shit before you. Which is kind of ridiculous, but, you know, if the cup slides out of place, you could damage your testicles worse than if skipping wearing it altogether. But again, if you're wearing a cup with the correct type of support system, it's not going to slip out of place. So even that, where is that coming from? Are there really idiots out here just getting a loose cup and putting it under their compression shorts without a strap? Because that's stupid. And in that case, yeah, you're going to hurt yourself if it slides out of place, but it shouldn't even be sliding out of place in the first place. So again, a ridiculous myth. And it's almost impossible to buy a cup by itself unless it's a higher end or a steel cup or something like that. Like I said, the Black Diamond cups, you can get those for like, $90, $99. Athletic cups are designed to protect your groin from trauma common in other high-contact sports such as striking, martial arts, and football. BJJ has a significantly lower risk of high-impact trauma in the groin region during typical training. Again, semantics and just not reality, right? Just because something isn't a strike to your groin does not mean it can not do damage to your groin. Someone trying to, knee slide out of your half guard, if they slide a little too far over and slide their shin across your groin, they could crush your testicles. They could, cause testicular torsion. They could tear the soft tissue with their shin. Like, these are actually things like, you can look up, groin injuries by sport, and jiu-jitsu and wrestling are up there. So I don't know where these guys are getting this idea that, wearing an athletic cup is just plain uncomfortable in common jiu-jitsu situations. Again, if the athletes in the UFC were uncomfortable in those positions while wearing a cup, they would say something. It is not uncomfortable. It's only uncomfortable when you first put on a cup, probably the first week or two of wearing one all the time. I mean, I had the same problem when I started karate and started wearing a cup. I didn't want to wear one, but I wore it, and after you get used to it, again, it's more uncomfortable not to have one. Back control, half guard. These positions require contact with hard plastic athletic cup between sparring partners and movements. And most of the people that I have rolled with for the last 10 years didn't even notice I was wearing a cup until after the rule became no cups at the lab. So, literally, even having back control, almost nobody ever noticed. So, this idea that, the contact made with your opponent, most people don't even notice it. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And then all of these tend to come down to the same myths of you can cause injuries to your training partners. There's a bunch of Reddit threads. There's all this stuff that comes up, right? Trying to find the article. Let's see what this rolling around BJJ article says. Just, see if they avoid the myths here. Nope. Same thing. It's not allowed in competitions because it can be dangerous for the opponent, blah, blah, blah. You can hurt your training partners. Yeah, like it does. It's never done that. It has never actually ever done that. So I honestly have to wonder where this myth came from because I just cannot find any legitimate evidence of that, and I've tried. I actually planned to film this video 2 weeks ago, but decided to take some time and do some research. And again, I cannot find any at all documented cases of anybody getting injured because someone wore a cup. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely just ridiculous. Trying to remember what search parameters I put in to get that other article to come up. So I'm trying to find it here though. Yeah, Grappling Insider has a whole article about Complete Buyer's Guide, the best cups and groin protectors for BJJ. So somewhere, some people are allowing it in their classes and training sessions, and others are not. And the ones that are not are disallowing it based on myths or based on tournament rules that are based on myths and things that have never, ever, ever happened. Just absolutely ludicrous nonsense. Yep, the Jog-Jitsu came up. Yeah. Now here's one. See, blackmonkeydeals.com archives. Looks like this might be somebody with some common sense. Groin protectors. Use them and avoid inadvertent injury in combat. Any good jiu-jitsu or MMA instructor will tell you to go in for groin protectors. This might surprise you since blows to the groin are illegal in these disciplines. Groin protectors, use them and avoid inadvertent injury in combat. Any good jiu-jitsu instructor or MMA instructor will tell you to go in for groin protectors. This might surprise you since blah, 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 blah. It's a fact that no one will strike you in the groin on purpose while training in MMA or jiu-jitsu. But the simple fact is that a great many jiu-jitsu and MMA techniques do leave the groin vulnerable, and you can inadvertently take an elbow or a knee, or if it's MMA, even a foot to the groin, which needless to say can be very unpleasant. As a matter of fact, it is mandatory to wear a groin guard in many jiu-jitsu and MMA training academies, but even if it's not, you should consider the problems that can arise from taking serious injury to the groin. Something I was already familiar with before starting jiu-jitsu for that very reason. Again, American Kempo, a lot of groin strikes. Just in the self-defense techniques. And then it used to be a legal point in West Coast, point sparring open tournaments, which are mostly attended by Kempo practitioners and other quote-unquote soft-style martial arts that have groin strikes in them, so groin used to be a point. Used to be the only spot you could get away with kicking in point sparring or hitting in point sparring full force and not get a warning for it because, you have to kind of make it clear that you hit there, otherwise how are you going to get a point? The variations on groin guards, you can either buy groin protectors that are a simple cup or a cup with a strap called a jock strap, while the standalone cup can do for games like baseball, a highly active sport like jiu-jitsu. I would really advise that you buy the cup with the strap, as this will ensure the cup doesn't move around as you execute different techniques. I find that this is crucially important in sports like jiu-jitsu and MMA because if a cup shifts badly, it can itself cause injury. But again, like I said earlier, you should be wearing a jock strap with a compression shorts over it. Or a compression shorts with a built-in strap system for the cup, right? Shock Doctor makes them. A lot of companies make them. Try to go in for a groin protection that has a hard cup, but whose sides are padded. This spreads the shock from a blow and also prevents rashes from friction caused by a hard cup. Compression shorts, steel cups designed to wear off heavy blows that are best for full contact. Steel cups are perhaps not needed for grappling sports like jiu-jitsu, but are nevertheless a very durable alternative to ordinary cups and can be used, though I highly recommend that they be used with compression shorts so they don't move around. And that's the thing, right? I've had to replace my carbon fiber plastic and Bioflex cups because eventually they crack. I've had the same steel cup since I found out I could get a steel cup. As a Shock Doctor, I got it a little over a decade ago. So this one's starts off a little ridiculous, but they're right. There's nothing more homosexual than when your training partner doesn't have a cup on and he repeatedly rubs his penis and testicles next to your mouth while grappling. When you wear a cup to grapple, it is not to protect you, but it is a courtesy for your training partner. Some people train for years and only wear their cups to striking practice. It's ridiculous. I will not train with someone if they don't have a cup on. I will keep it to myself and simply avoid them, and I know other people in my gym who do the same thing. Seriously, don't be that guy who no one wants to train with because you don't wear cups. Good thing you never wrestled competitively then. Kids who wore cups were shunned and made fun of, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, honestly, so that's a forum post, but I mean, it's for your own protection, but yeah, it is kind of nasty too when someone ain't got a groin protector on and, they're a little funky and get you into north-south, but my conclusion and my response to the idea that we shouldn't wear cups while doing jiu-jitsu or wrestling is, especially for the reasons that have been presented with and that I have presented to you and debunked in this video, is 30 years of MMA, doing MMA myself, wearing a cup the entire time I've done jiu-jitsu except for very few exceptions. Even in tournaments I've gotten away with it because nobody noticed. I just figured show up, roll, no striking, simple shit. You know, and then I was told by somebody I couldn't wear it when I went to do the NABJJF, and they checked me. They made me take it off. Which is stupid. But end of the day, there's absolutely no legitimate reason why cups should not be allowed in jiu-jitsu, and quite the opposite. There's a ton of legitimate reasons why they should be mandatory in the gym, at competitions. I think one day when I'm a little further along in my career and it's a little more financially feasible, I will definitely do a jiu-jitsu tournament where cups are mandatory, and we'll see what happens. But I guarantee you the same thing that has happened in 30 years of MMA is going to be what happens there. No one's going to get armbarred faster because they're wearing a cup. Nobody's going to get facial injuries because their opponent's wearing a cup. Again, the stigma around somebody wanting to protect themselves in a combat sport is ridiculous to me. And the myths of why are twice as ridiculous. So that's where I'll leave you guys. Sound off in the comments below. But again, do me a favor and save everybody's time. And don't come at me with the same stuff I've already talked about in the video and debunked. Because again, anybody can watch any MMA fight going all the way back to UFC 1 30 years ago, and nobody in there got armbarred faster because Hoist was wearing a cup, which I guarantee you he was, or ever since then at all, ever, not in street beefs, not anywhere. Not in Pride, not in Ganryujima, not in any form of MMA anywhere. So I don't understand where this myth started, because again, I cannot find any documentation whatsoever. But there's plenty of articles about how groin injuries are the highest or most common injuries from grappling. So IBJJF, NABJJF do better. Jiu-jitsu instructors who are following the lead of these tournaments and making that a rule that people in your gym can't wear groin protectors, do better. Do better for your students. And this isn't an indictment against my professor at all. Again, I kind of get where he's coming from, because it's, you can't wear it at a tournament anyway. But I mean, it's just my issue is the reasons I was given, and the reason it all ties back to the same reasons the IBJJF started with. And like I said, the issue comes from there, right? It comes from the IBJJF and every tournament that copies their rules, and it's filtered down into the schools, and that's where it comes from. So that's really where my issue lies. But again, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it needs to change. It needs to change. It needs to be fixed. And all of these federations, grappling federations need to do better. NAGA, all of them, do better. Make the cut mandatory. I guarantee you, nobody ever has gotten injured. So that's my plea out there. Spread this around. Let's get this discussion really going in the community, because it needs to change. I've taken too much unnecessary trauma to the testicles doing jiu-jitsu because of this ridiculous rule, and it happened within the last couple of months when this rule changed in my gym. That I have in my entire martial arts career wearing a cup. And like I said, I've been doing American Kempo for 16 years as of September. So, where we're at with it. I'll probably cut this. This will probably get cut down, actually, because this is almost a 40-minute video. Anyway, like I said, share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Yeah. Pretty much it. Groin protection should be allowed in jiu-jitsu, both in the gym and in tournaments, cups, period. Should at least be allowed, if not be mandatory, but at a minimum it should be allowed. It's ridiculous that it's not, and the idea that, yeah, I've said it enough times. The idea that it is dangerous to your training partners is the most debunkable myth I've ever seen, but it persists just like the white to black belt myth from not washing the belt. We know that's not, anyone who's done their due diligence knows that's not true. And anyone who actually will bother to do the due diligence on this knows that these myths are not true. It's ridiculous to me. But that's the state of the species, right? People hear something from someone in a position of authority or some federation will make a rule, and whether there's a real basis for it or not, it just trickles down everywhere, which is, going to lead... I think I need to make a video about sports killing martial arts and why I think the NABJJF and Sport Jiu-Jitsu Federation which owns NABJJF, even though they have completely separate branding, are wrong for trying to get Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu into the Olympics and why we should avoid that at all costs. That'll be another video. All right, Shinigami out.
Shinigami, samurai master, straight up out the land of Lancaster. No one stronger, ain't no one faster. Turning the opponents into Caspers, ghosts, disasters. We don't do no waiting, where I'm from, we attack them. Swift KO kick to the chin, leave them napping. Sniff, take a whiff, that's the smell of victory. Better fear, making all my peers' careers history. Big dubs, all we catch is big dubs. Karate chops to his tops, leave them big slumped. Humble beast, beefing in the street. We don't take no loss, you gon' catch defeat. You gon' catch a fist and some fresh